Welcome to Coffee, Culture, and the Capital with Sophia and Greg.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. If you listened to our last episode, we were talking all about how it is the last month of session, and we're just kind of fighting through what's left. We gave you some updates, but we have some updates on a bill that we talked about with you all earlier in the year, AB 3080. And Greg, what was the original intent of this bill that was authored by Assemblymember Juan Alanis?
Yeah, this is a bill that we were heavily involved with getting a legislator to take. This is a trend around the country. You know, pornography has a terrible effect on anyone who's watching it, but particularly damaging to young kids. But in the pornography industry does next to nothing to keep minors off their websites. Now, there's all kinds of filters that are out there that is hard to navigate. They're supposed to keep kids from seeing pornography, but they have not been working over the last 10, 20 years. And so there's a new trend to make pornography websites responsible to keep minors off their websites. And so they have this new technology they're using in Europe, in various states here in the U.S. that age verify. So if you're going to get on a pornography website, the site has to age verify and just make sure that person is over 18. That's what they do, in bookstores, movie theaters. You have to show ID to get into a rated R movie or rated X, right? They don't let little kids walk into those movies. Same with magazines that they used to sell behind the counter. You have to show your ID, just like they do for alcohol, just like they do for gambling and all other kinds of products that are sold out there that are not for minors, right? They age verify. Well, the pornography industry has been getting away with not having to age verify. It's a big money-making industry. They want young kids to get hooked when they're young teens. Then they get lifelong customers, and they don't want to do this. And so we helped introduce with other organizations a bill, and the intent was to require pornography websites to age verify. And it actually did surprisingly well up here in the Assembly. It actually went through two committees and passed unanimously. No one voted no. And then it went to the Assembly. No one voted no. It had like 70 people out of 80 Assembly members vote yes on this bill. They all agreed, yeah, minors shouldn't see pornography. There was even a New York Times article that was quoted by some of the Democrats on the floor talking about this new trend among young people, this choking trend that young women are experiencing during sex with guys, and these guys are learning how to choke women in pornography, right? So pornography is violent, it's vile, and it's really connected to human trafficking. A lot of these women who are being used as models and actors are being human trafficked as well. So there's a big link between the two industries, pornography and human trafficking, big money makers. That's why it's so hard to fight it. So we were excited it got through the Assembly, but then when it got to the Senate, the Judiciary Committee really did require the bill to have an amendment that really did gut a lot of the effect. It was going to allow pornography websites to just label their websites as pornographic, something that law did not require them to do, but many of them did it already. Mm-hmm. So we were discouraged with that amendment. But then we get, all right, well, the bill still made it through, and it was going to the Assembly floor, not the Assembly, the Senate floor. And when the members of the Assembly and the Senate came back on the 5th of August, something strange happened. The bill was called back to the Appropriations Committee. Appropriations Committee is a committee that deals with bills that spend a lot of money. This bill did not even go to the Appropriations Committee in the Assembly because it wasn't spending any state money. It was simply requiring things of pornography websites. So I was like, we were baffled. Like, why are they pulling this into the Appropriations Committee at the last minute? And then the analysis came out and they said, well, there's an unknown amount of legal fees that could be the state or the court system will have to deal with because people are going to sue. That seemed like a made up reason. I mean, there's plenty of bills that go through the legislature where they don't even figure in what lawsuits would cost, right? They're just looking for how much money the state would have to pay.
Well,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
we just saw AB 1955 that passed about the parent notification, and that's already in a lawsuit. People have already gone out to sue Governor Newsom and all them, and the legislature had to know that was coming, but they still passed it through and celebrated and cheered it on. So hearing that, it just sounds like an excuse for a reason to try to kill the bill. It doesn't.
Right.
There's of bills that have gone through and they've had to worry about lawsuits.
So here's a sneaky thing that California legislature does. If they want a bill to be killed and they don't want to have to actually do a public vote, then they stick it in something on the Appropriations Committee. Bills go onto something called the suspense file. If it spends over $50,000, it goes onto in a file means it's just in a group of bills that are in a big list. And then they have a hearing and they simply announce the bills that are getting off the suspense file. So if a bill, they don't like a bill, they'll just leave it there. They don't have to vote no. Nobody knows who killed the bill. It just dies. It just stays in that committee and stays on the suspense file. It doesn't come out. So that was yesterday. This is Friday. So it happened on Thursday, yesterday, and about 30% of all the California bills this year got stuck in this suspense file and were not let out. And one of those bills was AB 3080. So even though the entire assembly voted for it, not a single legislator had voted against it, they killed it in the Appropriations Committee. And the chair of the committee, her name is Senator Caballero. She represents the Fresno Merced area. Surprisingly, she's also on the Judiciary Committee, so she voted yes for this bill once. But then when it got to the Appropriations Committee, it got to the Senate floor and then was pulled back into her committee and stuck in the suspense file and then died there. Something happened. Somebody very powerful got to her. Somebody told her what to do and she complied. I don't know who that person is, but we do know the lobbying organization that was even when the bill was amended in the Judiciary Committee, actually the porn industry decided to stop opposing it. So the bill was not particularly stringent if you got the porn industry not complaining about it anymore. But there were two organizations that were still fighting it, and they were represented by a lobby group called Corbin and Kaiser. There they are. Found this article about them. And this taller woman, her last name's Kaiser, she was testifying against the bill last Monday in the Appropriations Committee, saying the bill was just going to cost too much because of the lawsuits that would be filed, and we shouldn't do it. And she said, we're representing two organizations still, and that one of them was called the Electronic Frontier Foundation. That was one of them, and this is a group, a leading nonprofit defending digital privacy, free speech, and innovation, right? And I believe they're out of San Francisco, if I'm not I was looking for their contact information. Press contact, I think. And then the other organization was a group called privacyrights.org. So I don't know who's behind these organizations, how they have the power to tell the powers that be that this bill needs to be killed. But that's the kind of thing that happens at the Capitol. Even though all the legislators are voting for a thing, somebody with a lot of authority can just kill a bill, right? And nobody knows who it is. I mean, we know these two groups are behind it, but we don't know which legislator. We assume, well, Senator Caballero, it's ultimately the buck stops with her. She let it happen. So we want you to call her office and ask her why she killed a bill to protect kids from pornographic websites. Why in the world would you stop it? Especially when you voted for it before in the Judiciary Committee. So she needs to feel the heat for this decision, right? She's putting children in danger. She sided with the pornography industry, right? And let the people in Fresno and Merced need to let her know you are not okay with that. And her number up here at the Capitol is 916-651-4014. That's 916-651-4014. You call up and say, hey, I heard that Senator Caballero killed a bill protecting kids, AB 3080, when every other legislator voted for the bill, and she killed it. Why? Need to ask her why. And she needs to be inundated with hundreds and hundreds of calls. So hopefully, if you got nothing to do today, call that office. 916-651-4014.
And if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can see that her picture's here. You can see her number up above. If you're listening on a podcast platform and you're like, wait, what was that number again? Check the caption. We'll have it there. So definitely, please call our office. If you are, like Greg said, in Fresno or Merced, call the office and say, I am a constituent in your district, and I am not happy with a bill that was to protect kids from pornography being killed by you. But even if you're not in Fresno or Merced, if you're listening and you're in San Diego, or you're up in Sacramento or Roseville, or you're in Bakersfield, if you're in different areas, you can still call and voice that you are not happy with this decision. And this bill, like the same form of bill, maybe with different little amendments here and there, but the same general form where it's age verification. So like Greg stated earlier, it's not removing the porn industry. It's not doing anything like that. It's simply saying that if you were a minor, you cannot access these pornographic websites on your phone, because nowadays we're seeing the harms. We've seen the studies about the mental health it has on the negative effects it has on mental health for both boys and girls that are viewing porn. And nowadays it's so easy to access it. A lot of children, you see their first interaction with porn wasn't intentionally going out of their way to look it up online. It was they were watching a YouTube video and search something that can kind of go a little the other way. And so these things are just popping up on kids' phones. And so this bill was simply saying age verification for online pornography. That's all it was, is saying that these young children, these minors, cannot access porn. And like Greg said, it's really rare to see a bill pass through the entire assembly with no votes. There's a couple of people that didn't vote, but no votes. And then for it to get basically amended and changed up and then still killed. So please reach out to our office. Please make a phone call. This bill, different forms of it have passed now, I believe, in 19 other states, Greg. And then there's other states, I think on top of the 19, I think there's like around 10-ish other states that have introduced the bill, whether it's died or still going through the process. So again, we've seen it in 19 states. This is a great idea. This is a great bill idea, and it just kind of shows how the California Capitol works. Especially, I just want to reemphasize what you said, Greg, that Senator Caballero originally did vote yes for this bill. So for it to go to the Senate floor, to get pulled off of the floor, to sent to appropriations, put in the suspense file, and killed there by Senator Caballero, who's in charge of the Appropriations Committee on the Senate side. Greg, I mean, you were right. There's someone somewhere, whether it's one of the legislators, whether it's someone that has a lot of financial money, there's something going on where they force their hand to cause this to happen. And so our elected officials should be in office to represent us and to do the right thing and to not be scared or forced into doing something by someone who has the upper hand.
Right. We're just talking about it yesterday with the author's office, and just like there's a lot of people making money off of pornography and human trafficking, a lot of money. And that greed overrides any concern about the damage what they're selling does to people, right? They don't care because they're making so much money. That's all they care about. They don't care about the harm they're causing society and to kids. They love money more than people. That's the very definition of greed. And greed makes, and we have representatives in our government to curb that greed impulse in our sinful nature, right? We have government because people tend to use some of their freedom to abuse others. And this is an industry that abuses others, makes money off of abusing them and playing to their worst, their worst behavior, right? It just like drugs, people seek happiness, but they want a quick fix, and they take a drug that makes them feel great, but ends up destroying them. Pornography is similar, right? Feels great, and then you're addicted, and your whole character is distorted, and society is harmed by treating sex the way pornography treats sex, right? And so as Christians, we need to stand up to this, speak the truth about what God instructs us about how He created sexuality to be a great thing, but in a certain context. And Satan's out to destroy all that, right? To distort and twist and turn something God has as a gift into an ugly, harmful industry. And so this is part of loving your neighbor, is to stand up for this stuff like this.
Absolutely. And so this was one of the bills we were hoping to see passed in its original intent. And as you can see, this is what happens at the California Capitol. But with that, make sure you...
I want to end on a positive thing.
Yes.
Okay. The Capitol wasn't even talking about this until this bill was introduced. Nobody had been talking about pornography was bad for kids. That conversation has now been started. Now it's just going to be harder to fight this than we thought. We were surprised at how easy it was going through the legislature. So the fact that, we finally got real strong pushback, I'm not particularly surprised, knowing the power of darkness and evil reigning in this state. But we're not giving up, and neither should you. We've we lost the first battle, but we didn't lose the war. And we're coming back next year, and we're going to look for all kinds of strategies to highlight what the pornography industry is doing to kids.
Absolutely. And like Greg said, we are not going to stop the good fight. No matter what crazy comes out of the Capitol, what horrible bills they pass, what good bills they kill, California Family Council is here to stay and fight for our biblical values and for parents' rights and for children and for life and all these issues. We can't do it without you, though. And so there's a couple ways you guys can all play a role in this. Again, it is by if you visit californiafamily.org, we have our action center where we have call-in campaigns, and you need to use your voice as constituents to these representatives. And we try to make it as easy as possible, saying, here's this bill, urge them to either vote yes or no, and here's talking points as to why. We provide their phone numbers. We provide so much. We provide a way to email them. We provide a pre-written tweet to send out on X. And so when we provide this stuff, we need your help by using it and calling your legislators and making your voice heard. And join us in prayer. Every morning we're praying for California and for our legislature and all these different bills. So, I mean, every morning around 9 a.m. we're together in prayer. So at 9 a.m. if you feel called to take time out of your day to pray and take a couple minutes to pray for California and the legislature, please join us in that. And then the other way is financially. We are a nonprofit, and so if you feel called to donate to help keep us doing what we can do to help you protect and save your children here in the state of California, you can do that at californiafamily.org. But as Greg said, we're not going to stop fighting for what's right and what's good. And that's what I love about California Family Council. No matter what comes in our way, we're going to keep pushing. And so with that, Greg, unless you have any other updates you want to talk about, you guys can keep visiting californiafamily.org for the Action Center, sign up for our newsletter, and stay tuned to our social media to know what's going on in this last month of the legislation being in session.
Great. Did you want to talk? There was one thing else we talked about we were going to mention. I know we published an article on Monday about SB 1414.
Yeah,
this is a bill going after those who are buying children for sex. And this is a bill that actually did survive. I think it embarrassed the legislature enough to know that if they killed this, that might hurt them politically. But currently in California, if you buy a child for sex, the solicitation, you exchange money, it's a misdemeanor as a crime. And so this bill, SB 1414, was going to change it to a felony with real prison time, as opposed to like a speeding ticket. So the bill was weakened as it went through the public safety committees, but it did come out of it was on the suspense file yesterday, but it did come through a little weakened, not as strong as it first came out. You know, it doesn't protect 16 and 17-year-olds like it does 15-year-olds. But we have some other complaints, and you can see that in our article. But it did survive, and so we got to make sure legislators vote for SB 1414. I think they will because it didn't get killed in the Appropriations Committee like they did with the other bill. So anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know about that one. So make sure you keep calling your legislators. It'll have to go through both the Senate and the Assembly again before. So everybody's got to get contacted.
Yeah, and this again was one of those bills, SB 1414, the authored by Senator Shannon Grove. The original intent of this bill, it was a great bill. It's still a great bill. They forced amendments upon her that she's not happy about. But I just she tweeted this out yesterday, an update about SB 1414, and I just want to read the tweet from Senator Shannon Grove about the bill. So she said, "Today, the scales of justice tipped in favor of the victims of child sex trafficking. SB 1414 has passed out of the Assembly Appropriations Committee and is moving to the Assembly floor for a full floor vote. Thankfully, once signed, predators who purchase any child ages 15 and below for sex would be charged with a felony. The original version of my bill included protections for children of all ages. However, Senator Wahab, the chair of the Senate Public Safety Committee, forced amendments on the bill which left 16 and 17-year-old children out of these additional felony protections, allowing a misdemeanor to be charged for this heinous crime. I will not stop fighting until all California's children are equally protected, but I'm thankful we are stepping in the right direction." So that's a little update about what is going on with that bill. But yes, as Greg said, keep calling. It's going to hit the assembly floor and then going to go back to the Senate. So keep calling and urge the legislators to vote yes on SB 1414. All right. But with that, all of those little things I mentioned earlier, follow CaliforniaFamily.org, go see our Action Center. We have quite a few bills left that we are fighting either against or for. So check out the Action Center. Take 10 minutes out of your day and make those phone calls. But with that, we will see you all next time.
See ya.